Adriana's death is one of the saddest scenes in The Sopranos for me. And for this video, I want to keep it short. I'm not going into her whole plotline, the FBI pressure, every fight with Christopher, or the slow way this life destroyed her piece by piece. That can be its own video, because honestly, Adriana's full story deserves that. Here, I only want to stay with this scene. So let's talk about why this scene hurts so much, and why for me, it is one of the most brutal moments in the entire show. The hit starts before Silvio touches the steering wheel. It starts with Tony Soprano standing at a payphone. That should feel wrong right away. Tony has a cell phone. Everybody in this world has a cell phone. Calls happen from cars, kitchens, clubs, back rooms, anywhere the day catches them. So when Tony uses a payphone, the scene is already warning you that this is not concern. Something already feels wrong. Adriana is just too naive to know that yet. She is in the apartment with her suitcase open, and for a few seconds, the room still belongs to the version of her life where she gets out. The bag is there. The clothes are there. The future is sitting on the bed, half-packed. After all the panic, all the FBI pressure, all the begging Christopher to choose her over the life, she is finally close enough to actually leaving, and the escape has become something physical. Then the phone rings. Tony does not yell or accuse her. He doesn't come in like a boss dealing with betrayal as you would expect him after finding out what she did. His voice is soft, almost careful, and that might be the scariest version of Tony there is.
Look, everything's okay.
If Tony Soprano suddenly sounds concerned about your well-being, the danger has already moved past the point where shouting is necessary. Adriana is the only one still close enough to hope for the sentence to work. Then he gives her the name.
It's Christopher. He tried to commit suicide.
And the suitcase starts losing its meaning. Christopher is the only name that can still stop her. The same man she should have left years ago is still the one person she cannot stop loving. The same man who hit her, failed her, dragged his weakness into every dream she had, is still the man whose pain can make her forget her own danger. Tony does not need to build the whole trap in front of her. Christopher's name is enough to make her step toward it. Now Adriana is no longer standing in the apartment as someone trying to escape. Her face changes, her body shifts. She is already moving toward the hospital in her mind, already reaching for the version of Christopher Tony has invented. Tony keeps the line moving with details, the pills, the bathroom, the trooper, his mother on the way. Each piece gives Adriana something new to react to, and by the time one detail lands, another one is already pulling her deeper into the story. Why is Tony calling from a payphone? Why is Christopher not calling? Why is Silvio the person coming to get her? Fear does not ask those questions in order. Fear grabs the next instruction.
You know, he's been drinking, so he's probably fighting that heroin urge again. Anyway, Sil's on his way.
That should make the whole story feel wrong. Silvio is not the person who belongs at her door in a moment like this. If Christopher is dying, you send family, a doctor, an ambulance, not Tony's most reliable killer. Adriana hears Christopher. Everything else gets pushed behind that. Before the call ends, Tony says the last words he will ever give her.
I'll see you up there.
Adriana hears the hospital in that line. Christopher is supposed to be up there, Tony is supposed to meet her up there, and Silvio is only supposed to be giving her a ride. But up there carries something darker. Up there is where people go when the living are done with them. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I truly believe Tony's words brush against the afterlife before Adriana even gets in the car. The only thing Tony gets wrong is the direction. If there is an up there waiting for Adriana, it is not waiting for him, so I don't think he will be seeing her anytime soon. Tony sends her toward death with a phrase that almost sounds like directions to the afterlife. Maybe he hears it, maybe he doesn't. The cruelty of the line is that it no longer matters. He has already decided what her life is worth. Adriana hangs up and sits in the apartment. The suitcase is still there, but escape has drained out of it. A few minutes ago, it was a way out. Now it looks like proof that another life came close enough to touch her and still slipped away. Her face is nervous here. Then the next scene does something cruel. For a few seconds, it makes us think Adriana escaped. We see her alone in the car, driving on the highway with the red suitcase beside her. She is just driving away from all of them. This is what she should have done. She should have gotten in her own car, taken the suitcase, and kept driving until New Jersey was behind her. No more Christopher, no more FBI, no more Tony, no more waiting for someone else to finally choose her. Then the scene cuts back to the truth. Silvio is driving. Adriana is in the passenger seat. She never escaped. She only imagined it. Somewhere inside her, Adriana knows the answer. She knows she should be in that car alone. She knows she should be leaving everyone behind. But she is still sitting beside Silvio because Tony used Christopher to pull her back one last time. It is the life she almost had, shown to us right before the life she actually chose, takes her into the woods. Silvio's calm makes the car colder. He drives with the patience of a man who already accepted the errand before he reached her door, while Adriana sits beside him, slowly realizing the hospital story is falling apart. The show has spent years letting us get comfortable with Silvio. The suits, the jokes, the faces, the club, the card games, the funny little reactions in the back room. You laugh with him long enough that some part of you lets him become familiar. Then he is alone in a car with Adriana. And the familiarity curdles. He talks about food, like the day still has normal stops left in it.
I'd stop to eat, but I don't want to get to the hospital after Tony.
Not hungry.
She does not know everything yet, but the car feels wrong. Silvio feels wrong. The road feels wrong. The world outside the window is getting emptier, and her face is starting to carry the information before she can say it. Silvio keeps the hospital story alive with that same dead calm.
They'll keep him a few days, maybe. Do some tests. Who knows?
At first, Adriana can still hear those words as comfort. Christopher took pills. Christopher is somewhere in a hospital. Christopher is going to pull through. That is the lie still sitting between them. But the longer Silvio talks, the more the sentence starts to rot.
Why are you crying? He's gonna be fine.
Christopher will survive, just in a much uglier way than Adriana understands yet. He will survive the choice he made. He will survive the guilt. He will survive the story they tell after she disappears. And slowly, the comfort turns into the truth. Christopher is going to live through her death. He is not really comforting Adriana about Christopher's condition anymore. He is telling her, in that blunt, cold, businesslike way, that Christopher will live after she is gone. He will hurt. He will drink. He will carry it badly. But he will keep breathing. He will move on because people like Christopher always find a way to make someone else pay the full price. He knows why she is crying. That is the line that freezes the blood. There is no hospital at the end of this road. Christopher is not waiting for her. Silvio knows it. Tony knows it. Christopher knows it. Adriana is the only person in the car still fighting the shape of the truth. She looks out the window. The trees keep passing. And somewhere in that silence, she understands. Christopher chose them. The realization does not arrive like a scream. It settles over her face. Nervousness turns into confusion. Confusion into fear. Fear into something flatter and much more painful. Hopelessness has a different weight. It stops searching for explanations. Adriana wears it before she speaks. The violence has not happened yet, but the scene is already killing her. We are watching a person lose the last story that kept her moving. Christopher is not hurt in the way Tony said. Christopher is gone in a worse way. He is alive, and he has given her to them. It hurts because you remember who she was. Adriana used to feel bright in the frame. Energetic, vibrant, vivacious, loud in that messy human way. She dressed like she wanted the room to notice her. She had little dreams that were almost painfully normal. A future with Christopher that existed much cleaner in her head than it ever did in her apartment. The people around her wore that down. The FBI pressed from one side. Christopher pressed from the other. The abuse, the guilt, the panic, the lies, the constant pressure of loving a man who kept choosing the thing that destroyed her, all of it slowly made her smaller. By the time she sits beside Silvio, the old Adriana is barely visible. She is bruised, scared, exhausted, worn thin, trying to ignore the trees because the trees are telling her the truth. The company you keep can make or break you. By the time danger becomes impossible to miss, she has spent years being trained to walk toward it. The car drifts away from the road, and everything Tony promised her disappears with it. The hospital, the people, Christopher, all of it falls out of the scene until there is only Silvio, the man from the back room, the man with the jokes, the man the audience has been allowed to enjoy, becomes exactly what the life needs him to be. A calm, cold-hearted killer. He drags her from the car, and the scene loses every piece of glamour people try to attach to this world. There is no stylish mob death here, no cool speech, no code, no honor. Just a terrified woman being pulled into the woods by a man who knows she cannot stop him. Adriana becomes a poor little fawn caught in the headlights. The scene makes it literal. She is hunted like an animal. She crawls on all fours through the leaves, whimpering, begging, trying to get away in a way that already feels impossible. The vibrant girl from the club is gone. The woman with the suitcase is gone. The woman who believed Christopher might still choose her is gone. What remains is pure fear in the dirt. And that is when the show turns back toward us. These guys we got invested in, the ones we laughed with, the ones who became familiar enough that we let ourselves get sucked into their world. This is what they are. The glamour burns off. The jokes die in your throat. The colorful rogues become murderers with clean shoes and calm voices. If you cross into their world and become a problem, your life is in mortal peril. Their warmth has conditions. Their affection has an expiration date. Their loyalty disappears. The second business needs a body. Adriana keeps saying no because that is the only word she has left, and the camera does something merciful by refusing to stay with her body. It rises into the trees, away from the dirt, away from Silvio, away from the final second, as if the world is already trying to cover up what these men have done. but it does not feel peaceful. Because by then, we know exactly what she understood in that car. Christopher chose them. Tony used her love to move her into place. Silvio drove like a man who already knew how quiet the woods would be, and Adriana, who spent the whole scene hoping there was still a hospital somewhere ahead of her, ends up crawling through the leaves with nobody left to save. And the last thing Adriana learns is that the man she loved is going to survive what loving him did to her, even after Christopher hit her, even after the lies. Even after years of living inside a world that kept asking her to ignore what she already knew, there was still a part of her that believed love could be enough to escape it. That hope is what Silvio kills. Because Adriana does not die thinking the FBI failed her or thinking Christopher failed her. She dies realizing that the only person she was willing to throw everything away for had already chosen something else. Christopher chose the family, and the family sent Silvio. The woman who spent years trying to build a home inside this life is driven into the woods by people who always knew there was never going to be a place for her there. She loved men who spoke endlessly about loyalty, family, and honor. And in the end, every one of those words leads her to a patch of dirt in the middle of the forest. That is Adriana's tragedy. She was never destroyed by one bad decision. She was destroyed by believing that love could survive inside a world that only understood loyalty as long as it served power. She kept waiting for someone to choose her. The FBI wanted information. The mob wanted silence. Christopher wanted approval. There was never anyone left whose first choice was simply Adriana. For years, she believed she was building a future. In reality, she had been walking toward that clearing from the very beginning.